This is unbelievably Roach coming to Broadcasting House for my radio interview with BBC Radio London. So let's see how we get on.
It's Simon Lederman, BBC London 94 on a Monday night in London. I don't know if you've seen these hideous images of the floods that have affected so many places up in the north of the country. We're very lucky down here. I know many people live near the Thames and we're all at risk of flooding at some stage. But the scenes that have played out there are hideous, and they've seen. I don't know if you've seen the images that they've had from the 1960s when we had similar floods in that area, and also back. I think back they were talking about even the late 30s. They had similar issues, and so many people have had their lives turned upside down, and the scenes that have been played out in their families, I think, are scenes that my next guest simply refuses to agree or admit or allow to ever happen to him. His name is Michael Sanderson, and he's going to star in a TV show on the National Geographic Channel, and it's called Preppers UK: Surviving Armageddon. Which, if that's not enough of an excitement to get you viewing, I don't know what is. Michael, welcome to the programme.
Hi, sir.
Just tell us what a prepper is.
Prepper is somebody who is into individual emergency planning. You know, so regardless of what comes along, and bad weather, for an example, they don't expect the state to step in and save them.
Well, we've seen, I mean, certainly Mel, who's producing tonight, and myself, we sat here looking at some of the programme, and it's fascinating what you have there, because you've got all kinds of resources and food and plans and campaigns to make sure there's not a problem. If we all did that, though, wouldn't be in a huge amount of trouble. There'd be no rice left.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's new to the British people. You know, if you think back to your grandparents, your grandmother did preserves and jams just like mine did, and she would put those in the cupboard, you know, at harvest time for Christmas, and pickles and all that sort of stuff. Well, that's prepping. That's making use of resources you have today and putting them aside because tomorrow just might be a bit tougher. You know, preppers are people that are determined to be self-reliant, and there's always stuff you can do.
It was fascinating hearing one piece to camera you did, because one of the things you said is you were talking about how long as human beings we can survive, and it was all sounding very hopeful. And Mel and I collapsed with laughter, because you said something like, you know, you can survive without water for 3 days, you can survive without food for, is it 3 weeks?
Yep.
And then he said, then we think, oh great, and then you said, but then you're dead.
That's it. You know.
So that's why it's so important to make sure we're prepared. But surely the state will help us.
Yeah, I'm sure 18,000 people that died during Hurricane Katrina thought exactly the same. 30,000 people that died during the Japanese event thought exactly the same. You know, the reality...
This is the nuclear plant at Fukushima.
Yeah. It started off with the earthquake, then the tsunami, then the nuclear event, but 30,000 people died. You know, that's everybody you've ever known, Simon, gone. You know, that's how big that one was.
Do you remember, though, after 9/11, we saw scenes from the United States? People were, I mean, I never knew what duct tape was then. Everyone now does know, because they were sold out in almost all the stores in America. We suddenly started seeing people in this country wear masks on the tube in case there was a copycat gas attack like we saw on the Japanese subway system. Yeah, we can walk around being so fearful.
You can, and prepping isn't about hiding under the bed. You know, prepping is about being proactive. Prepping is about being out there and doing what you can do, you know, to live for today, prep for tomorrow. It's not about, you know, waiting for Armageddon by any stretch of the imagination.
Tell us about your background, because your background is emergency services. It's also service uniform. You've been in service.
I grew up in the military. I did 17 years in the army. And
I can vouch for that by the handshake, listeners. If you're in any doubt, there's no chance you're going to win in any fight, any kind of action.
When I left the army, I joined the London Ambulance Service, and I spent 12 years with London Ambulance, ran the only ambulance station in the City of London for 7 years of that. Thereafter, I went to work in the townships in Johannesburg for a year, and when I was there, 50 people a day used to get shot. You know, so when I came back to the UK, I did the rounds with a couple of private ambulance services before sort of drawing a line under it, really. I think 20 years is probably enough for anybody, and if you see enough bad things, it changes you.
For the regular person listening to this programme, and I'm going to be generous and say that most people listening are regular. Some are ultra regular, some are less than regular, I imagine, and I probably count myself as one of those. But for the average person living in the city, what should we have as preparedness? How many days? What are we expecting might happen?
I think statistically, people are something like 3 days away from being in trouble.
And this is financially or nutritionally? Or
exactly. We're in a financial crisis, and preppers are about looking for the underlying stories, the backstory, not the the thing that's nice and shiny and on the news and put in your face. Yesterday, I heard the Chancellor turn around and say, with all of the austerity measures that have been in place, cuts in public spending, we borrowed £2.5 billion more than we did this time last year. Now, how can that be? How can that be with all the government cuts, with all the redundancies, with all the cuts in public spending? How can that still be the case? And if it is,
I would say that's because somebody's not paying their tax bill.
We're in trouble.
It's as simple as that. This is John, who says, I'd like to thank Roach for his, because your nickname is Roach. I should have said that. Your nickname is Michael Roach Sanderson, for his prepping and survival tips. P.S. Ask him to make me a wood burner. Do you know John? I think you might do. John Aftermath from Scotland.
In truth, I've got a channel on YouTube. It's had 600,000 hits and thousands of people subscribe. So sorry, John, if you're not leaping out at me.
Can I ask you something? When I started working in London, I did some work in emergency planning, which is why when you said that expression, it didn't make me doze off as it would do many people.
Yep.
And one of the things I remember that ceased me doing it simply made me not able to do it, was hearing people like you. They'd come in from the army, they were people who had served in the military and were advising us all of the horrible things, the Armageddon things that could happen. It's interesting you saying these things may not be Armageddon, because they may be.
Yeah.
How do you have a smile on the face that you do?
I don't think there's anything you can do about Armageddon, the end of the world. What you can do is you can make sure tomorrow's an awful lot more comfortable. I'm not looking to survive Armageddon. I'm looking to comfortably live through it with my family, and 100,000 people have had their homes repossessed. Another 100,000 people have been evicted for non-payment of rents. It's tough out there. Is that a catastrophe for those families and those individuals? Absolutely. So is it their Armageddon? If you can't feed your kids, if you haven't got any food in the house, unemployment and long-term redundancy, they're things that are a lot easier if you've got 12 months food in the house.
It's really fascinating hearing this, because I think that for many people the fear is the regular daily strife, and that includes waiting for trains, being late for work, but actually that is literally planning for the next 24 hours, and what you're saying is that isn't enough.
No, how people get in front is I'm not wealthy. I didn't throw thousands of pounds at prepping. I woke up one day and realised that some way down the road I just might be in trouble. So what I decided to do was, instead of buying the finest products that I used to when I went shopping, I bought the next one down. And instead of buying one, I bought buy one get one free, and I put the free one in a cupboard in the house. Just
lastly, we must mention that the TV show, by the way, is on the 28th of November, so it's on this Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. It's on the National Geographic channel, which is on Sky, and I don't know which channel number it is, but anyone who has Sky will know exactly where it is. How much rice have you got? Because we saw barrelfuls of rice in the programme.
So I've got food on the shelf for 12 months, but what I do is I bake bread for the family. So I've got enough flour put by, we could have a loaf every other day and we'd be fine for 3 to 6 months.
I'll be knocking at your door. I'll be knocking at that shelter, whatever it may be, when the day strikes. Michael, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Michael Sanderson is the star of this programme. It's called Preppers UK, Surviving Armageddon. It's on the 28th of November, and it starts at 9 o'clock on the National Geographic channel. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Cheers, son.